This video will cover my 3 favorite database reactivation strategies for email marketing. My name's Alex. I'm a digital marketer and copywriter with Lover Fighter Writer. And if you've done any email marketing, then you likely are aware that some of the contacts that you get on your email list will be very engaged. Of course, some of them will become your customers, but some will become quite unengaged, either right away or after they've been on your list for a while. And at that point, you have to choose between deleting them from your list or attempting to re-engage them, because it's really not great to be sending emails to a bunch of people that aren't opening or clicking on anything that you send. It's not worth the money that it costs to use the software. It's not worth your time, and it can be bad for your email marketing reputation. That said, database reactivation is a very useful skill, because if someone has an email list with 20,000 contacts on it and they're only getting a 10% open rate, and with your database reactivation strategy, you can double that open rate, you could potentially save their business or allow them to achieve a significant amount of growth. So it can be very valuable, especially with bigger lists, but depending on what you're selling, even with a smaller list, it can be a big difference maker. And I'm going to start with the database reactivation strategy, which is the most common. I think it's what most service providers that do database reactivation use. And it definitely works, but I think it works a little bit less well than the other two I'm going to go through, and it requires a little bit more labor, but we'll put that one first. And then we'll go through the 2 email marketing strategies that work the best for me when it comes to reactivating my contact list. And as I go through each of these methods, I'm going to mention some ChatGPT prompts that I created that can be really useful for doing this type of work. And if you visit the link in the description, it'll take you to a landing page where you can sign up for access to my Google Sheet full of ChatGPT marketing prompts, which I update on a regular basis. Just in case you're not totally clear, database reactivation in this case is using email marketing and automation to re-engage contacts who have not engaged with recent emails. Again, it's not good to keep them on your list if they're not opening anything. So you need to choose between deleting them after a certain amount of time or trying to re-engage them. And for the purposes of this tutorial, we'll assume that you're going to try to re-engage them. So as with anything in business or marketing, we want to think about how effective something is compared to the amount of time and effort it takes. And so the first method we're going to talk about is segmented re-engagement campaigns, which is fairly labor intensive, requires a decent amount of knowledge, and I would say it consistently works, but it's less likely to be very effective than the other 2 methods. The second method is sending an updated version of the original lead magnet that the contact opted in for. This is usually very easy unless what they opted in for was a long video training or something like that. If it's just a PDF or a short video or a spreadsheet, you can easily just say, hey, I updated this, and send them the new version. And if they're still paying any attention to your emails whatsoever, one of the things that they're going to be most likely to want to open is a new version of the thing that they originally signed up for. So again, that's usually pretty easy to do, and it works very well. And so I try and update most of my lead magnets at least a few times a year, and that gives me an excuse to do this. And the third method we'll go into is resending unopened newsletters with a new title and opening. Now this requires a little bit of skill because you do need to create some segments and do some rewriting, but it is very fast to do and it works very well. And I really like this one because instead of creating an entire database reactivation campaign, you can just kind of get people right back into your main newsletter. And so it's just about identifying segments of your list that are quite unengaged and sending them basically the same email as they just didn't open, but with a headline and opening sentence that's going to be much more likely to get them to open it based on their past behavior. Now we'll get into a little bit more granular instructions for each of these methods. I'm not going to go into full tutorials right now, but I will do tutorials for each of these methods in the future. So remember to subscribe if you want to see that. And each of them is going to use 2 or more of the ChatGPT prompts on my list of ChatGPT marketing prompts, which you can get for free by visiting the landing page that's linked in the description. And I'm not sure what order I'm going to do the tutorials for these strategies in. So if there's a particular strategy that you would really like to see a tutorial for, leave me a comment to let me know, and I'll try to prioritize that. All right, so strategy 1 is the segmented re-engagement campaigns. I think that these are most ideal in a situation where you may need to provide a high level of segmentation or a high level of personalization to each segment. So depending on how much historical information you have about their behavior, what they've opened and clicked on before, and how much other data you might have about them if you have a good CRM or something, this makes more sense in that kind of situation because then you can really take full advantage of creating a whole campaign. But in other situations where you might have a little bit less information, maybe they're just someone who signed up for a lead magnet or signed up for your list, and then they haven't opened anything since, then the other methods are most likely going to be more effective. The re-engagement campaign requires creating segments, which, depending on the type of business you have and the type of customers you have, this could be based on purchasing history. It could be based on opening emails and clicking on links history. It could be based on what lead magnet or other reason they signed up for. It could be based on any surveys that you've sent them, anything like that. And then the idea is to create one or more emails. Usually they do them in campaigns that are designed to create all the hooks that this person is most likely to follow and end up opening and clicking on an email. And so for this one, you can use the soap opera sequence ChatGPT prompt, the voice and tone ChatGPT prompt, and the standard marketing email sequence prompt. And on to strategy 2, we have the updated version of the original lead magnet. This is great to do a few times a year or even every couple months or something. And again, if your lead magnet is like a 45-minute webinar, then you probably won't want to do this. Although you could create something new to go with it and then send that to people along with the link back to the webinar if that's what you're doing. But if you're giving away like a PDF or a spreadsheet like I do with my ChatGPT prompts, or a short video or something like that, maybe a small online course. There's all different ways that you can update those quickly to add just a little bit more value. And then that's all the justification you need to email the people that originally accessed that resource and invite them to check out the updated version. And this does a really good job of getting people to start paying attention to you again. And for this strategy, you can use the headline optimization ChatGPT prompt. I have a full video tutorial for that prompt on my channel, so I'll try to remember to link that in the description. And you also use the copywriting, voice, and tone prompt and the standard email marketing sequence prompt. I also have those included in videos. And the videos are linked in the prompts spreadsheet in case you want to access them from there, but I'll try and put the most relevant ones in the description of this video as well. And finally, we have method 3, resending unopened newsletters with new headlines and opening phrases. So generally, when an email is in someone's inbox, they can see the headline and they can see a little bit of text along with the headline. That's called the preview text. And with most email marketing software, you can have different preview text than the actual content of the email. But I don't like to do that because it feels kind of disingenuous. I want people to actually read my emails, so I want them to know what they're going to be reading when they open it. And so usually when I'm doing this, I write a different headline, and I usually aim to make it shorter and have more kind of mass appeal. And then I make the preview text, which is just the first maybe 60 characters of the email body content, as interesting and engaging as I possibly can, something that's going to really hook their attention right away and draw them into wanting to open the email. And you can create fairly simple segments that just target people who haven't opened any of your newsletters for a certain amount of time. And then you just need to duplicate the last email that you sent or one of your recent emails, edit the email headline and the first sentence of the body copy. And of course, you can make any other changes that you want and then send it to that unengaged segment. And this is another one where you can use the headline optimization and copywriting voice and tone prompts. And I particularly like this one because it makes it easy to bring the contacts that I re-engage right back up to speed on what I'm doing right now instead of creating a whole separate campaign to try and re-engage them. All right, remember, you can get a copy of my ChatGPT prompt spreadsheet by visiting the link in the description of this video. You can also visit alextucker.ca. That's my website if you want to get in touch with me. Please do like this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet, and share it with anyone you know who might find it helpful. And I'll be back again soon with another tutorial. I'll see you then.